Hello and welcome back to video classes by Konnur Institutes. Today we will be discussing the supply curve of a firm. In a previous class we were discussing about the profit maximization, right? So that was wherein we used to understand at what level of output the firm is going to make its a profit maximum. Now in this class we will be understanding the supply curve of a firm. So what is a supply? Supply is nothing but the quantities sold by a firm at a given price and a given technology and also at a given price of factors of production. So that is the supply. And what is a supply schedule is the table which is describing at what level of output or the quantities which is sold by the firm at different prices. So here also the price of the factors of production, the technology is also being mentioned earlier. And what is the supply curve? Supply curve, it's a curve wherein we understand of the behavior of a firm, how the quantities is being sold. So that is the supply curve. So here also we have two set wherein it's easy for us to understand. So we have categorized this supply curve into two categories. One is the short run supply curve and second one is the long run supply curve. So we have know the differentiation between the short run and the long run, right? So short run has a fixed cost and the variable cost, and the long run has no fixed cost and the variable cost. So in every short run and the long run supply curve, there are two cases. We will be understanding that. So first case talks about the price greater than or equal to the average variable cost. And the second case talks about the price less than the average variable cost. So this we have already understood in the three conditions which we have seen in the profit maximization, right? So again we will be understanding this under this graph. So here you can see that the graph which has three curves talking about the short run marginal cost, short run average cost and the average variable cost. See, the first case when we have the price P1, this is the market price, okay? See, here the case talks about the price should be greater than or equal to the average variable cost. So in this situation you can see that the price which is marked as P1, you can see it is greater than the average variable cost. This is the average variable cost curve. You can see here the market price and here the cost which the firm is incurring. So you can see that here the price, the market price is greater than the average variable cost. And you can also see that at this point the price is equal to marginal cost. Yes, which was our first condition. At this point you can see that the marginal curve is rising upwards. It is not decreasing, which is nothing but the second condition, right? So second condition was stating that the marginal curve must not be non-decreasing at Q0, right? So you can see after this point the marginal curve is in the upward rising direction. So the second condition is also satisfied. So when the price is intersect at this point, you can see that the Q1 is derived. So this is the level of output the firm wants to sell or the firm wants to make. So the third condition is what the third condition is, the price should be greater than or equal to the average variable cost. So when we have this condition, then obviously the firm is going to make its quantities at this Q1. So the firm's level of output will be equal to this Q1. Okay, so here you can see in the first condition, in the first case all the three conditions are satisfied. Now let's move to the second case. What the second case talks about? Second case is talking about price is less than the average variable cost. So now let's mark this here, P2. You can see that the price line is now smaller than the average variable cost. So when we have this, and can you say that the firm is going to sell the output at Q1? Can it sell at this point? No, right? Because all the costs are on the above the price line, the market price line, which is P2, right? So the firm, when it has the market price at P2, then firm decides not to produce. So that's the reason zero output can be seen in the firm. This is the area, okay, you can see this dotted line, okay, this is the area wherein the firm decides not to produce, so that's why we call it as the zero output area. And you can see that after this line we are going to make the output at Q1 quantity. So these two cases, combining these two cases, we come to an important conclusion. What is that being stated is a firm's short run supply curve is a rising part of the SMC. We are talking about this rising part, okay? So what is that? Rising part of the SMC curve from and above the minimum. So this is from and above the average variable cost. With together the zero output of all prices strictly less than the minimum average cost. So strictly less than the minimum average is this. Okay. So here this talks about both the rising of the marginal cost curve and also the decreasing or the zero output level what we have here below the minimum average curve. So this is how we understand the first case and the second case in the short run. So like for last is that this is the output level. Q1 is the output level. The firm decides to sell or the firm decides to produce the output level which is equal to the Q1. In this case 1. If it is a case 2, then the firm is not going to make any of this output. That's the reason it is a zero output level. So this is how we understand both the cases with respect to the supply curve. So if we understand these two cases, it helps us to understand whether the firm is making its profit maximum or at what level of output the firm is going to make its profit maximum. So in the next class we will be talking more on the long run supply curve. See you all in the next video class.